but let me speak briefly on behalf of professors, of what do they look for. And I would be happy to have feedback from our midpoint students to kind of reflect on this as well, of what the professor-student relationship is like to a certain degree. You're going to, in your program, have various professors who are somewhat use the same methodology, but there's nuances to everybody. And we have somewhat different styles of doing things. Nonprofit, you're going to get more of me than anybody else because I'm a full-time faculty, so that's just invariably love it or hate it, that's the way it's going to be. But God willing, hopefully we'll develop a good reciprocal relationship. But I'll give you a few things. What's professors love? Professors love students who engage the discussion board regularly. Number one at the top. Part of the education is this, what we call process learning, where you're learning along the way. The idea is not to procrastinate and push everything to the end. Now, certain things, that's just going to happen. It just is. And the beauty of a hybrid program like this is you are able to organize yourself to a little bit more of a personal schedule than you would be if you were in a traditional graduate program with 3 or 4 courses running simultaneously. But we are aware, professors are, that you have your lives, you have your issues, and you have days and weeks where it might not quite work as easily as you would. But what I do highly recommend, that's where professors show if this student is engaged or not. So even if you can't post the greatest thing in the world, at least do something. It makes their job a little bit easier. The second thing is communicate with your cohort. Graduate school, by its very nature, and certainly even more so in a hybrid format, has a very Socratic learning style. What we mean by Socratic, it's colleague learning, more than a professor standing and lecturing you every week. This is how the world works. Anybody who's read Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, that talks about banking method not being the best way of learning, but experiential, critical reflection on issues is the best format for learning, particularly from people, in his case, Latin America. But Freire's method is used a lot by us in SLD faculty, where we're making the assumption that you're having a collaborative Socratic learning. So first of all, my recommendation to be good with your professors, track that part of your work first. So how do you do that? My recommendation is to set aside some time during the week to make sure this gets done. I would love some feedback from the midpointers. How do you do this? How have you been able to accomplish this?
Actually, we were talking a little bit about that. When I started, I was able to switch my 5-day work schedule to 4 10-hour days. So I do most of my classwork on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So for me, I found that doing it in being able to spend 6 or 7 hours in researching and then writing is a really useful way for me to get work done. I have a hard time doing it 1 hour here, 2 hours here. It's just, finding the right way that you learn is probably going to sincerely benefit you throughout the course of the program.
Anybody else?
I definitely agree with Jenny, just because having a full-time job is hard. So I try my best to, if I'm not working on a weekend, which I've kind of started to randomly, but use those as your time. I'm also somebody who likes to do everything at once, hit it all, do a bunch of my readings. So if that's the way you learn, or your schedule makes you have to learn in that way. Just figure out what works best for you, try to figure out the schedule that works best, but sometimes for full-time workers, it might be a Saturday, Sunday that you just have to, instead of going out to hang out with your friends or going to dinner with somebody, you say, you know, I'm gonna stay in and I'm gonna do my reading and I'm gonna do my posting and all stuff like that. And again, like, I guess Hannah had said to the group, like, 2 years from now, you can do this, so I constantly try to say that to myself, like, I will be able to see all my friends all the time, every weekend, a year from now, so like, don't feel like, oh, my world's ending, like, you'll get there. And you can also like spend, you know, have social time with your friends too, but for me as a full-time worker, I think Saturday, Sunday is definitely a helpful time to do all those postings and reading.
Any other comments on that? Okay. All right, so we have the regular inputs. Number 2, American Psychological Association, APA standard, which is the standard for writing. So I'll be honest, students can be in my program even up until 3/4 of the way through and still aren't mastering APA. It's hard to master because it starts to change bit by bit. But right from the get-go, start mastering APA standard for writing. Some of you may have come in here with MLA, which is for English Literature and the Humanities. Some of you came in here from theology, philosophy programs. You probably have Chicago down. Others of you came in here from sociology, anthropology, psychology. You'll have no problem with APA. But it is a social science oriented program in School of Leadership and Development in both LORG and nonprofit. So we use APA as the standard. If you have problems or don't quite know enough, and I'll be honest, I'm not convinced that Eastern's help is the best here, because they simply don't have the funds to invest as much as necessary. But we're happy in the United States that a university did and took this on from the very beginning, and that is Purdue University. Learn to love the Purdue OWL. The Purdue OWL is the best writing and research and APA standard online out there. It's better than any annual manual that's being given. So, you know, you can get the manual itself in the book, but it's all right there. So I learned that early on for myself as well. It's a quick way to go, and it is academically verifiable. It's not fake, and they've got now a big, over there at Purdue University, they now have this big operation where they have people that are updating it all the time, so it's always new, it's always fresh. And we're very thankful in academia for Purdue University. They took this on a few years ago as they realized that books and manuals were getting expensive, and also it opened up the globe for APA standards. So they also have MLA and others there too. They have a whole writing center, but we like the word the OWL because it's wise old owl. Purdue OWL for online writing lab is what it is. So very useful to you. Okay, so APA discussion board, APA standard, Socratic method, and talk to your professors. Call them, email them, communicate with them. I'm glad that somebody mentioned we're not big ogres there to kill you. On the other hand, we do have compliance we have to do with middle states that it doesn't go on forever. We recognize people's different schedules, but you also expect some level of compliance along the line. If you're having issues with your schoolwork or issues with your life, talk to your professor. Now, this gets a little tricky for some in nonprofit management, particularly because I'm the program director as well as the professor, so I have to wear one hat, which is the principal of the school, the other one, which is the professor of the program. But I am on the full-time faculty, so for both LORG and nonprofit students, I have what's called the big brown chair. My big brown chair is when I take off my professor hat and put on my pastoral hat. And I intentionally try to do this. So if you're having some issues in life beyond, purely academic stuff with your professor, My office is open. Beth is a director of LORG as well, but I also know she also is very busy being the chair of our department. But we can find some kind of, but I am open there for you. Those of you who live in the Philadelphia area, more than willing to come and have a coffee, meet you at Starbucks or whatever, run through Camden and check out what's going on out there with our bunch out there or whatever, to help you with kind of life issues as they come. So the important point is talk to your professors and communicate with your professors. All right? I think those are the three main points that I would bring out. Any of the mid-pointers want to talk about the professor-student relationship? Anybody want to comment? Amber, want to comment?
So I think it's definitely really important to have that relationship. Dr. Toke's really good at that. I did like the background therapy like last class. I was having some issues like work-wise and life and all this stuff, and I sat down with him and he was able to give me some really, really great advice, school-wise, work-life-wise. So like he said, definitely talk to them, definitely communicate with them, let them know what's going on in your life. They're great at, mentoring, and also if you're struggling in any way, which I actually was this last class, make sure you let them know that, and let them know that if you still want to be in the program, like I want to be in the program, I'm dedicated to this. Just make sure that you keep that open communication with all your professors and program directors. And yeah, they're not big ogres, scary people. They're very loving and really supportive, and I think that's been a great benefit of the program, is knowing that no one's going to jump down your throat over something. They're going to be there to help you.